The other big story today is Bridget Phillipson has won the race to become the new Deputy Leader of the Labour Party. The former Leader of the House of Commons defeated the Education Secretary by over 10,000 votes and succeeds Angela Rayner, who resigned last month. Actually, I think that's wrong, isn't it? It's Lucy Powell. Yes, absolutely, it's Lucy Powell. Sorry, I've read that out completely wrong, because it was written completely wrong, to be honest with you. Lucy Powell is the winner. Yeah, the former Leader of the House of Commons defeated the Education Secretary by over 10,000 votes and succeeds Angela Rayner, who resigned last month over her failure to pay the required tax on a property purchased in Hope. Here is what she had to say after the result was announced.
Thank you to all the party members and supporters who voted for me. I will work every day to repay your trust. And I'd like to pay tribute to you, Bridget. You are someone of huge talent, dedication and real Labour values, and I look forward to continuing to work with you as the excellent Education Secretary that you are.
OK, and here is what she said after the result was announced. Oh, right, OK, that was it. Right, OK, sorry. Slight technical glitches going on in the studio today. OK, now joining me is GBNews, a political correspondent who we are making work overtime today. Obviously, she just presented her own 3-hour show, 2.5-hour show, actually. Lightweight, Olivia. Olivia Utley. Olivia, OK, apart from the fact we are actually, not me personally, but somebody else, blaming them, got the name wrong there on the auto cue, Lucy Powell is now the Deputy Leader of the Labour Party. What does this mean?
I think this is a huge headache for Keir Starmer. It's obviously not what he wanted. He sacked Lucy Powell from his cabinet just 8 weeks ago, and she has run this campaign on a ticket, basically, to undermine Keir Starmer. She believes, as do actually lots of Labour MPs, that the way Keir Starmer runs his cabinet is too cliquey, it's too inward-looking, it doesn't listen to members and MPs. And she said she wants to make sure that the Labour Party leader is listening. She's now won. And in her victory speech this morning, there were quite a lot of very, very thinly veiled digs at Keir Starmer. She said that we have allowed Nigel Farage and his ilk to take over the political mic. She said that immigration is not the root of all evils. Well, Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, who is desperately working to try and tackle illegal immigration, will probably consider that a pretty unhelpful comment. And I think lots of voters actually will think that's a pretty tone-deaf thing to say on a morning where a migrant sex offender is running around London unchecked. She also said that listening and hearing what the members are saying is not dissent, it's our strength, which seemed to me a pretty obvious jab at Keir Starmer, who is very often accused of not listening to what the members are saying and calling it dissent. I think this is going to be really, really tricky for Keir Starmer. And you can imagine a situation, although Lucy Powell herself, the role is pretty nebulous. It's not exactly clear what she's going to do. She can sort of decide what she wants the role to be. But you can easily imagine a situation where, for example, Keir Starmer decides that, no, we really do have to do something about welfare payments, and he tries to introduce another bill. Labour MPs don't really like the sound of it. They start whispering on the backbenches. Then Lucy Powell, the elected deputy leader of the party, does a media round where she sounds a little bit dubious too about the idea of welfare cuts. And then you have a place for all of those Labour rebels to sort of coalesce around. So I think this is trouble for Keir Starmer. I don't think it helps as well that the turnout for this was incredibly low. Just 16% of members voted in this election. The Labour Party membership is huge. We don't quite know how big, but it is huge. 16%. It was still, tens of thousands of votes. But it does show that there is sort of political apathy within Labour, and that doesn't really help either. It all adds to this sense that Keir Starmer is a beleaguered Prime Minister fighting a battle on many different fronts.
I mean, it is a strong message that Keir Starmer has lost the room, as it were. I mean, it really does sound like that many, the ones that bothered voting, you say 16% is a very low turnout. The ones that bothered voting aren't supporting what Keir Starmer's doing.
No, they're not. And I think Keir Starmer stood up after Lucy Powell spoke and said that he's delighted to be working with Lucy Powell. Well, if he finds her such a delight to work with, why exactly did he sack her from the cabinet 8 weeks before? I think lots of Powell's allies are very concerned that she's going to be frozen out. Keir Starmer decided before the race took place that the deputy leader of the Labour Party would not be the deputy prime minister. Of course, when Angela Rayner was deputy leader of the party, she was deputy prime minister. Yeah. And I thought it was very strange, actually, that how underplayed the announcement was this morning. There were cameras in the room. There was a short speech from the Home Secretary. No reporters were allowed in the room. Reporters were having to gather outside. It seemed as though Labour didn't want to make too big a deal of this. And then at the end, Shabana Mahmood said, and I'm sure you'll be seeing Lucy Powell very soon at your doorsteps on the election campaign trail. And it felt a bit as though the Home Secretary was sort of sending her on her way. They don't want anything to do with her.
The reason there were no reporters like yourself there, Olivia, is because you'd ask questions like that. You know, you really support them, Keir Starmer. Well, why did you sack her if you think she's so good? I mean, that's the obvious question here.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GBNews discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GBnews to start protecting yourself digitally today.
But she doesn't come without controversy, does she? I think as soon as you mention the name Lucy Powell now, you instantly think of that discussion of the rape gangs where she uses the phrase a racist dog whistle, for which she apologised. But I don't think anyone will ever forget her saying that the abuse and rape of young girls as young as 10 was just a racist dog whistle.
Oh, it was shocking. I mean, it was a real sort of political clangor, and so much worse, so offensive, really. But someone like that who has the potential to sort of make faux pas, and to be honest, I think lots of people will think that comment that she made about immigration not being the root of all ills on today of all days, with this migrant sex worker running around London, does seem a little bit like a political clangor, and I think that is another headache that Keir Starmer really doesn't need. They cannot afford to put a foot wrong before the May elections. Now, Labour insiders are saying that it is a good thing, and perhaps they're right, that Lucy Powell doesn't have a government role. Very convenient, really, that she was sacked by Keir Starmer, because she will now have more time to be out on the campaign trail, talking to members. She does have the ear of some members, although, as we say, turnout only 16%, so not hugely popular among the members. But Powell is hoping that she will be some sort of bridge between the membership, the parliamentary party and the leadership, which at the moment look very, very divided. So perhaps there is some sort of silver lining for the Prime Minister.
The other faux pas she made was back in September 2024, when she said, and she was called silly, which I didn't like men in the city calling her silly, wouldn't there be a run on the pound if the government didn't make urgent spending cuts, including the very controversial winter fuel payments.
And economists came out one after the other and said that she was just wrong about that. It's going to be really interesting to see what her reaction is. She is quite left-wing. I mean, she's probably less left-wing than Angela Rayner, who came before her, but compared to Keir Starmer, she is certainly on the left of the party. She is calling for higher spending. She's not interested in tax cuts. I wonder what her reaction to this budget is going to be, because it is going to be a really, really unpopular budget with voters and with Labour Party MPs, actually, who want to see higher spending on the whole. They are very worried about government departments being cut. Rachel Reeves, they are worried, is going to introduce a new era of austerity. Rachel Reeves is really going to need the help of everyone she can get when she delivers that budget. And if Lucy Powell doesn't like what she says, that could be a real headache for Rachel Reeves as well. I think there's a lot of trouble coming down the line with this new deputy leader of the Labour Party.
It'd be very interesting to watch this space. Andy Burnham, let's just quickly mention Andy Burnham. She's quite close to Andy Burnham, and he's got ambitions as well, hasn't he?
Oh, she is most certainly in cahoots with Andy Burnham. He publicly said that he was supporting her in the Labour leadership deputy election. He has started this new think tank, he's calling it.
Yes.
I would call it a pressure group on the Prime Minister called Mainstream. He's clearly trying to pitch himself as the mainstream alternative to Keir Starmer. He definitely has his eye on the leadership. And I think the fact that him and Lucy Powell are very much working together is going to be quite worrying for Keir Starmer, because Andy Burnham is really very popular. People in Manchester, where he's the mayor, believe that he's done a really, really good job, and he's actually widely liked and respected within the wider Labour Party too. He is very much seen at the moment as the alternative to Keir Starmer. And it feels now as though Keir Starmer is sort of battling for the soul of the Labour Party. He is moving in this direction. He's trying to get reform voters away from reform. He's showing that Labour can be tough on immigration. The budget is going to be quite, you could call it austerity budget, whereas Lucy Powell is far more left-wing. It'll be fascinating to see how it plays out.
Absolutely. Watch this space. Olivia, thank you very much for doing the overtime. The wonderful Olivia Utley for us there. Thank you very much, Olivia. Sir Keir Starmer is under fire after Labour suffered a by-election disaster in a safe seat that had been red for a century. Plaid Cymru romped home in the contest in Caerphilly, with Reform securing an extraordinary second place. So, is faith in Labour slipping away? I'm joined now by North East Derbyshire District Labour Councillor Stuart Fawcett. Stuart, I mean, the story broke yesterday. I mean, it is a huge hammering for Labour, isn't it?
I think this is a really humbling moment for all mainstream parties. About how people associate their vote with their local area when that question arises.
Hello? Yeah, have we still got you, Stuart?
Yeah, you've still got me here.
Right, sorry, I thought you'd frozen, sorry.
You can't get rid of me that easily, we froze there. But I think, as I say, I think it's very humbling. You know, the people of Caerphilly had a choice here about their Senate, and all the Westminster parties were obviously available on that ballot. And Plaid, came through there. And why is that, do we think? Well, I think people, when they put their cross in the box, they're not always looking at how these parties are going to change the world, but how they're going to change their world, outside their front door, in their community. And I think, whilst, Reform's performance was creditable, or perhaps attributed to how well they're doing in the polls, but with the Welsh element to Plaid, and that wanting to break from continuity, I think that really came into play there.
And obviously, Labour have held this seat for over 100 years. And to go down to, 16%, I think it was. I mean, it really is sending a message that Labour have not succeeded in Wales.
I think that message is sort of coming through loud and clear. But I think it's people who are having that opportunity to talk about their place. And they want politics that is going to deliver in their place. As I say, it's not just about changing the world, but changing their world. And at this time, I think they saw that. They wanted to send a message that, continuity shouldn't be taken for granted. But actually, there was another rejection there that day, which, was Reform as well. And I think what people are seeing there with Reform are that, OK, we've got this new party, this different option, out of the box option. But on this occasion, they didn't go for it. What they went for was a party who were giving a lot more local consideration to their politics. And I think there's something to be said for that.
OK, I mean, to be fair, though, to Reform, Stuart, they came from literally a zero start. So they did incredibly well. I mean, they didn't win, obviously, but they did incredibly well compared to the two main parties, just finally and briefly. Not just Labour suffered yesterday, but the Tories were wiped out. Do you think we are seeing an end to the two-party system that we've known for so long in this country?
I think it's about opting what you're going to stick with. By-elections are a different period of time in an election cycle about how long you have to stay with something. If I was choosing 2 phones and there was a third option, I'd consider how long I'd have to keep that phone for. I've really got to stick with it. At this occasion, it's not going to decide the government, but what it is saying is that also incumbency is on the ballot. So if we're electing you and your party here, what are you going to do for our area? So I think that's it's a great opportunity for Labour to listen to that, because they're already ahead of reform. They've got 400 MPs and they can get out into their constituencies now and show that they can deliver.
Stuart, we have run out of time, unfortunately. That's Stuart Fawcett there, North East Derbyshire District Labour Councillor. Thank you very much for joining us.